This radio show might make you cry, will probably make you angry, will most assuredly make you laugh, and is guaranteed to make you think. 3-6 Nation Radio, where no topic is too hot, no take is too cold, with Monica Livingston. 3-6 Nation Radio, in 3, 2, 1.
It's 3-6 Nation Radio. Hi, everybody. We are back. Ivan, Edward, Woner, Amy, sitting for Monica Livingston. Monica D. Livingston. She wanted me very specifically to point that out. She could not be with us. Mama Bird has left the nest. But we are sitting here with Asada Harris from the Chesapeake Climate Action Network. Hello.
Hey.
We're so excited to have you here. We're going to talk about grassroots organizations. We're going to talk about the news today. We're going to talk a lot of things. As you know, I like politics, and I also like yelling, so I'm going to do both of those things today. But I also want to talk about a couple things that are not political. I'm going to talk about cars, which is exciting, and then I'm going to talk about cloned monkeys. So if either of those two things are interesting, please be sure to stick with us through the entire broadcast. If you want to find us, you can visit us on Instagram. That is at 3-6-Nation, Twitter, 3-6 Nation, Facebook. You can go to listenvision.com. If you are not following us right now on Facebook, I'm going to be sad. All right, let's talk about some stuff. Most people, I want to do a couple things. We're going to have some new segments. Monica's not here, so I'm going to do a whole lot of crazy things because I can. We are going to talk about a couple things, but the first thing I want to do is talk really civics. People talk about politics like it's something that people do, rich people arguing about how to spend your money, basically.
Facts.
And you can only, my friends, they love me. And they say, we can only take about half an hour of you before, like, we're done. And I get it, right? Because it doesn't feel, but it also doesn't feel like it's irrelevant.
Right.
Right? We can talk about, like, Game of Thrones for half an hour, but then I got to go and do something else.
But who really watches Game of Thrones?
Not anymore. It's over.
Is it?
I mean, it's like 2 years until the next.
Oh, okay. It's over.
It's over. I can't watch season episode by episode anyway. I have to wait till it all comes out so I can binge it.
Facts.
Truth. So, politics, this is how I don't view politics in that way, is my point. I view politics as something that is intensely personal. It's about me. And so imagine this for a moment. It is about me, and it's about you. It's about, imagine this. Imagine you have $1.5 trillion to spend this year. That's $1,500 billion, right? $1.5 trillion is what the federal government spends every year. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever you want. And your goal is to build a cool, happy, safe society. That's all you have to do, right? We've got the money to do it. So then the thing we're arguing is, what do we want to fix? And how do we want to fix it? And so if we're talking about poverty, if we care about that, let's get it done. If we're talking about the homeless or mass incarceration or how people don't have jobs that they like that can support their families. If we talk about healthcare, if we talk about the number of people who are dying, we say these should not exist in our society. We don't like it. We don't love it. We would like to fix it. We can. That's what politics says. We, the people, form this government in order to build the society that we want to build. And so if you care, you can just go and do it. Now, the way that gets done is through grassroots organizations oftentimes. You have politicians pulling the levers, but it is people like you who are yelling at which levers to pull, correct?
Right.
Tell us about, you're with Chesapeake Climate Action Network.
Yes.
Tell us what you do.
I am the community justice organizer for the carbon rebate campaign.
Community justice organizer.
Like
oh, that's a long business card.
It is. Kind of.
So what is the carbon rebate program that we're talking about?
So we are looking to get a bill introduced that would put a price on carbon, about $20 per ton. And carbon, for people that don't know, is the thing that's messing up the environment, all the pollution. So we would put a price on it. I like that.
What is the, yeah, put
Put
a
a price
ring
on
on
it.
right?
Put a ring on it. That's kind of our slogan. It's pretty great. We would put a price on carbon, and then instead of just having people pay the taxes, we would have a rebate. And then the
nice.
rest would be for community reinvestments.
So let me just draw the circle.
Yes.
It starts, somebody pumps carbon into the air,
Right.
which is like smog.
Right.
And it sucks. And breathing
Yes,
it is
the
bad for
fossil
you.
fuels, yes.
Okay. They also like dump it in water.
Yes.
They also just pour it on land places.
Yes.
And we say we're going to weigh how much they dump
Right.
and then charge them.
Right. So we would be taxing the utility companies, so like
Okay.
Washington, Pepco, gas. We would be taxing them when they first get the carbon at its source, because DC imports all of its carbon. And then we would put a tax on them, and of course they're going to pass it down because it's capitalism.
Yeah.
And then we would give people a rebate to cover the cost and also have extra money.
Oh, so the rebate comes to the people who, in compensation for the higher costs that you are putting on the people who are polluting.
Right.
Interesting.
And so, of course, Washington Pepco, they're going to want to try to get out of the tax. And they can do that by switching over to cleaner energy sources.
Oh, and so if they stop polluting,
They won't have to
they
pay
don't
the
have
tax.
to pay the tax?
Right. And then the air will be cleaner. But on the opposite side.
So you can either pay to have it cleaned up, or you can choose to do a different type of pollution or a less polluted pollution.
Right. So the idea is that they're going to be incentivized to go cleaner and get RECs and just have cleaner energy. And then on the other side, people who are getting the rebate, they're going to be incentivized to save energy so they can get
Nobody's
more
going to
money.
jail.
Nobody's going to jail.
Nobody's getting executed.
No one's getting executed.
So you're talking about a tax on people who are polluting
Right.
to encourage them to stop polluting.
We're talking about the utility companies.
This
yes.
sounds really good. It sounds simple to me, guys. You should check it out. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. We will be back. Lucky Sports Bar
What a treat.
is one of my favorite places to see giant screen TVs because that's the thing that they rock.
Bless
All right, go.
Here at Lucky's, we see things differently, and we invite you to do the same. With a visual thrill of 8 high-definition screens measuring 6 feet by 8 feet, complemented by an additional 15 HD TV plasma screens at 50 inches, you won't miss a beat, play, or pitch. That's over 50 million pixels of rich high-definition action, allowing you to immerse yourself in a sports experience like no other. While you're here, if it's your appetite that needs satisfying, feast on a meal that only Lucky's can create. Prepared daily, our fresh and diverse selection of dishes are assured to please the most difficult critic. And if that's not enough, try hitting our 3,000 square foot game room and jump full tilt into the latest and greatest interactive experiences. Track your gameplay every time you return, and you can also earn exclusive Lucky's rewards. All this entertainment is backed by a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience, which is why you'll soon understand that Lucky's is more than just luck. Be sure to visit Lucky's Sports Theater at 7027 Manchester Boulevard in Alexandria, Virginia.
Come on, hustle. Get your head in the game. Come on.
Are you setting the right example for your kids?
Are you even trying? The ball's down there. What are you doing? You need to get some confidence.
Come on, hustle up, get up there.
Reviewing last year, ad revenue has declined 15%.
Come on, get your head on straight.
Before your child's next game, ask yourself, how would you like it if they copied your behavior?
There are many ways which we can improve.
That's for sure. You need to get some confidence.
Positive Coaching Alliance has valuable tips and tools to help our kids perform their best while keeping sports enjoyable for everyone. Their development zone is a great resource for parents like us. Positive Coaching Alliance, creating better athletes, better people. Learn more at positivecoach.org/Fox Sports.
We are back. Still speaking with Asada Harris of the Chesapeake Climate Action Network. All right. Happy 2018.
Thanks.
Yeah,
You
we were
too.
talking about New Year's resolutions in the break. My New Year's resolution was to stop doing things that hurt me.
Ooh.
If it doesn't feel
So
good,
easy,
I
but
don't
so
do
hard.
it. Right? It's such a and just be.
But what about things that are good for you, or things that feel good but they're bad for you?
If it hurts me, if it causes harm, I just trace back like, oh, I hurt right now. What caused that? And then I trace it back to like that point. It's like, oh, don't drink at 4 a.m. after you haven't eaten. Like it's just like a
Like
one-to-one
basic things.
Yeah.
No, that's real. That makes
But
sense.
I've had to cut out people.
Damn.
I've had if it hurts me, I'm not going to keep doing it.
Family
because I'm going to
included?
keep family included.
Wow,
Unfortunately,
that's real. That's a real resolution.
But when you do that, and this is a continuation of last year's resolution, actually. When you do that kind of I'm going to separate myself from things that hurt, if you can stick with that, it's really healthy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So how many actual New Year's resolutions have you followed through with?
All of them.
Really?
So
Every year you do it?
Every year I do it. I follow through all the way because it's a
Wow.
mindset. It's not. I don't resolve to do things like I'm gonna lose 15 pounds. Because I will never. Because that's like an arbitrary goal to me.
That's real.
And so the things that I'm choosing to do are different ways of thinking about my life. So one year it was, I am going to resolve to figure out what the next step was, regardless of, I'm not going to take a wrong step, I'm only going to take right steps. And so I would just try to do something. And if
Right.
it was not correct, you know pretty quick, like this isn't it. But rather than staying where I was, I just kept
moving.
testing until I found the right path, which is how I'm here. I showed up in the room one day and I was like, can I talk to you guys? And I'm like, sure, do it.
Omens.
And it's just how it works. Yeah, and so I think that the best kind of resolution isn't the resolution where you set an arbitrary goal, but it's this is how I want to, this is the kind of person that I want to be this year. And so one year it was to compliment people.
Oh, wow.
Because I had a hard time doing that.
Waits for compliment. Joking.
Oh, it was so bad. I was so bad. Even now, I was like, I had to do it when you were sitting over there, and I had to say my compliment. I was like, oh, but I can't do it in public. Like it makes, because other people feel very tense. They're like, what else is coming?
Right.
Okay, that's the compliment. What else?
It's gonna be like a DC thing.
Yeah. and
What can I
so-
do for you?
And so like I can remember I used to take the metro, and so I'd be waiting for the metro, and as like someone, and I'd be chatting with someone who was getting on like the yellow line, and I'd be on the green line, and as soon as their train pulled up and they were about to step on, I was like, you have that is a very nice dress, or something that I was just complimenting. And they're like, oh, thank you, as they're walking away. So like, I'm not following you. There's nothing
you don't
else
have to have
coming.
that awkward
it's not an
interaction.
awkward. And they're like, oh, and then through the glass, you can see them just like, oh, thank you. And then and they were like, there's like a silent,
Okay.
all the thing. But it was just nice to be nice to people and finding ways to be nice to people without making it weird. Just, oh, we're nice. All right. Don't know who that is. It's not Monica, so we're going to keep going. All right, no, here's my question for you. 2017 was rough. It was rough emotionally for a lot of people. It was rough just as far as working in politics in a sphere where people are using power in order to do things. And a lot of like the EPA regulations have been rolled back.
Right.
The National Park Service has been under attack. The eastern cougar is just officially been declared extinct. Like that happened today. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Wow.
As a person fighting on the trenches inside, what was that like?
I mean, I have a different take on the whole Trump administration.
Talk to me.
I predicted it. Like, I think I'm psychic as well.
What?
I predicted it when he was first announcing that he would probably win. I don't think.
Oh man.
I know everyone in California was like, "What? You're crazy!" And then he
blame you.
won.
I
Got
blame
him.
you.
But I think I'm kind of a radical in the sense that I believe that you have to get to the root of things in order
Correct.
to change things.
Correct.
And I feel
That's
like
not radical. That's like pulling up dandelions. You got to go all the way down.
You gotta go all the way down
Yeah.
and just hit the root. And I think we've just been masking our racism and our hate for so long. And I think capitalism is on its way out in our country. And we needed this kind of big moment to wake everyone up.
If capitalism is on its way out, but the capitalists are the ones who have all the money, how is this fight going to go? I'm asking Nostradamus because she predicted Trump. How I see it ending very badly. That happened with the collapse of the French Empire. That happened with
But
the
look
collapse.
at the French now.
They had to go through a lot of beheadings before they got there. I'm not advocating. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, we have these economic collapses and
Right.
genuine revolutions. We have the Egyptian revolution, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? And they're already back to a military dictatorship. And so I see the direction that things are pushing. Part of the reason that I do so much talk about civics and politics and not just politics is because I'm terrified of the equally intense backlash to what we have seen as a racist, homophobic, violent, greed-driven administration run by a foreign entity. Like, I'm very afraid that the backlash is going to be equally as virulent, and not because it's not justified, but because it will rip apart the country.
Is our country already kind of ripped apart?
I can heal it, people. We can come together.
Oh, live performance.
Believe we can do this. No, honestly, I think it is a lot easier to bring people together. I'm gonna tell the story. I was at the U.S. Capitol trolling people, because that's what I do. And I had hand painted an American flag in black and silver, and it was upside down on a metal pole. And on the backside, it was a giant elephant, Grim Reaper. And
visuals.
Oh yeah, I'm about messaging. And I had this man walk right up. I could see him from across the mall marching to me. And he could see this flag, and he was not pleased. And he got right up in my face. He was wearing a Sig Sauer hat, the gun manufacturer.
Oh.
And he had a shirt that said, "Don't tread on me." And I could tell his hips were a little wider than normal. I'm not going to say anything else because FBI, he's a nice person. He was a nice man. Please don't look for him. I think he was active military, so he had a legal right to carry. It's fine. I don't even know. Whatever. Gun laws in D.C. are crazy. So this guy's there, and his son is with him, and his wife is with him. And I have a problem with you. And he was just not pleased. And we started going about healthcare for about 3 minutes, and I'm with a group of people, and everybody starts yelling, and it gets louder and louder. And I just calm everybody down. And I said, "Can I ask you guys a question?" And they're like, "All right." And they're like, you know that skeptical when you're in an argument with somebody, and they're like, And I said, "Do you trust them?" I pointed at the Capitol. I said, "Do you trust them to fix this?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "We don't either."
Right.
I said, "Does the system we have work?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, we agree." I said, "So what's the solution?" And he's like, "Well, it's not this." And I was like, "I know. What's the solution? Like, let's work on it. We're here. We're on different sides of it. We have two opinions." I said, "These are some issues that we are facing. What about this and this and this?" And he's like, "Oh, well, that makes sense."
Right.
I was like, he's like, "What about this and this?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, that makes sense too." He's like, "So you just want to talk to me?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "That's what democracy," and he turned to his son, "That's what democracy is. This man is out here, he's some kind of radical, but he believes in America." And I just laughed so hard. I'm some kind of radical who believes in America.
What a treat.
And it was crazy because engaging with people on a one-on-one active manner in a way that, like, I acknowledge you're a person. I acknowledge that you care. You're not just the talking points that somebody paid you to yell at me.
Right.
Paid protesters, hashtag. I think that at the end of the day, if we can do that, we can calm down the violence of the rhetoric.
Right.
We can knit where we can get close. And if we can knit together, I think we can heal.
Right.
I think about like wounds. As long as it's bleeding, it can't heal.
Right.
And so put some
you
stitches
gotta rip
in
off
there.
the Band-Aid first.
You gotta put
And
some
I think
stitches in
that's
there.
what
We gotta stitch it up first.
No, you gotta rip off the Band-Aid and be honest about where we are.
We gotta rip off I think the Band-Aid's been ripped.
It's been ripped.
We
now.
gotta clear the pus.
We gotta clear it out.
All right, it's gonna bleed
And
a
we
little
gotta
bit.
be honest about where we are as a country. And
I gotta
think
stop using
that's
that
where we
B
are.
word. I gotta stop using that. Scrape it out with a spork. All right, we want to. I can't use visuals. I can't use colors. It's a very graphic metaphor. What I am saying is we have to let our ideological differences come out into the open in a clear and unvarnished manner, and then address them with frankness and understanding that the people who do not believe the way we believe are also coming at the world from their own personal perspectives. I am in no way advocating for anything but this.
Right.
I had to say, people are crazy right now. People are mad. They might, right? People are reacting explosively. I don't want people to react explosively. I want people to be calm.
That's fair. That's fair.
Seriously. I don't want to, what?
I just said, moving forward with that, I think like when they had the Chicago rallies, I saw so many young people engage with politics that we haven't seen in years. And I think it's really exciting to be able to work like locally to make something happen, to make a bill get passed. That's where we're going to see the most democratic change. It may not be at the federal level, but there's so many people engaged right now. And we just have to call on young people to make these changes, like in the environment. There's so many people, they're just moving.
How many people will it take to fix this?
Everyone.
Everyone
has to get
active. So
active.
if you're watching this right now and you're not being active, it's kind of on you right now because we're doing what we can.
Right.
Can. Asada, thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you.
We really enjoyed it. If people want to get involved with the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, where do they go? How can they find you?
So you can find us on Facebook at Put a Price on It. And then you can find us on our website, www.chesapeakeclimate.org. Please check us out and send us emails. We are just really gearing up. We have environmental justice salons that feature women who are underrepresented in the climate movement. We have lobby days, ANC presentations. There's so much for you to do to just show your voice and to show that you care about climate.
Thank you so much. We're going to
you.
go to commercial. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to talk some news, some civics, some education. I'm going to yell. I'm going to yell so loud. 3-6 Nation, peace.
Thought about launching a broadcasting career? Think you have what it takes to become a broadcasting professional? Learn the skills that will make people want to tune in. Join Monica Livingston, radio personality and owner of 3-6 Nation, for a career development workshop on what it takes to be a radio DJ, sportscaster, and news anchor. Find out how the former DC diva and owner of 3-6 Nation manages her own live internet radio show. Sign up for a workshop today, where Monica doesn't just share broadcasting tools. She puts you on the air.
If you can play, you can play.
If you can play, you can play.
If you can play, you can play.
We are all
Champions. We are all
Red Hawks.
Red Hawk.
For life.
our staff, coaches, and student athletes welcome students of all races, religions, genders, sexual orientation, and national origin. We advocate and support the LGBTQ community.
We play
Together.
We win
Together.
If you can play,
You can play.
At Montclair State University, if you can play, you can play.
If you can play,
you can play.
If you can play, you can play.
I love how USAA gives me the peace of mind and the security just like the Marines did. At one point I did change to a different company with car insurance and I was not happy with the customer service.
We have switched back over and we feel like we're back home now.
The process through USAA is so effortless that you feel like you're a part of the family.
I love that I can pass a membership to my children and that they can be protected. We're the Williams family and we're USAA members for life.
Call USAA today to talk about your insurance needs.
It's about respect. Respect for our teammates, respect for our fans, and respect for our game.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. On this team, we're a family.
Racist, sexist, and homophobic language have no place on our team.
We pledge to make our locker room a safe place for everyone.
No matter your race, religion, or whether you are straight or gay, if you can play, you can play.
Here at Lucky's, we see things differently and we invite you to do the same. With a visual thrill of 8 high-definition screens measuring 6 feet by 8 feet, complemented by an additional 15 HD TV plasma screens at 50 inches, you won't miss a beat, play, or pitch. That's over 50 million pixels of rich high-definition action, allowing you to immerse yourself in a sports experience like no other. While you're here, if it's your appetite that needs satisfying, feast on a meal that only Lucky's can create. Prepared daily, our fresh and diverse selection of dishes are assured to please the most difficult critic. And if that's not enough, try hitting our 3,000 square foot game room and jump full tilt into the latest and greatest interactive experiences. Track your gameplay every time you return, and you can also earn exclusive Lucky's rewards. All this entertainment is backed by a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience, which is why you'll soon understand that Lucky's is more than just luck. Be sure to visit Lucky's Sports Theater at 7027 Manchester Boulevard in Alexandria, Virginia.
We are back, and it's time for news.
3-6 Nation News, the DMV's #1 source for the hot topics and current news of the day.
We are here live on Twitter, Facebook, 36 Nation, listenvisionlive.com, all of the things. Okay, so some news articles today. I'm going to go through them very fast because there's a lot of things. Unfortunately, politics is in most of them. The president says that he's looking forward to testifying under oath for Mr. Robert Mueller. This comes minutes before his lawyer says, no, he's not, which I think is hilarious because part of the president's caveat was, as long as my lawyer says it's fine, I'm totally fine to do this. I'd love to. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. And then Ty Cobb, his lawyer, says, no, he can't, which is great. Part of the theory, so there's some theories going around about what the president's next move is. My prediction is that he is going to try to fire Rod Rosenstein before next week. And here's the chain. If he fires Rod Rosenstein before next week, that will put someone else in charge of the FBI, the part that can fire Robert Mueller, and he's going to keep firing people until someone can fire Robert Mueller, which will happen before he can testify under oath. Because if there is one thing that we know about this person, that Donald does not like to testify under oath. So, if that happens, I believe that will trigger probably the end of the world and hopefully obstruction of justice charges and also an impeachment hearing because that's just crazy. And I don't hope for this, but come on, people, it's the law. Like the law. Can we not at least have one sacred thing in our civic society? All right, here we go. Neil Gorsuch writes like a noob. This is, okay, that's my interpretation of what I feel is a accurate description. Slate.com writes, Neil Gorsuch is a terrible writer. And they eviscerate him as should it be a evisceration done. But get this, I just want to read a little bit of what he writes. And forgive me, I'm going to read this in the accent and speech patterns of a Southern farmer. Well, Chesterton reminds us not to clear away a fence just because we cannot see its point. Even if a fence doesn't seem to have a reason, sometimes that means all we need is to look more carefully for the reason it was built in the first place. Words of wisdom from Neil Gorsuch. He then quotes some 1647 treatise by Edward Coke. I don't even know who that is. He's in here quoting people who are not the law, making up his own metaphors like Robert Frost, and spewing quasi-folksy wisdom as a Supreme Court justice. What I would prefer, if it was all the same, was some actual jurisprudence, or as we say it in the people's business, the law. Just, come on, buddy. It's not, come on. I'm done with this guy. Fake Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch will forever have an asterisk by his name. Moving on, 4, count 'em 4, U.S. Gymnastics board members and Michigan State president have resigned after the Larry Nassar scandal. In case you don't know what the Larry Nassar scandal is, Larry Nassar was a doctor for the U.S. Olympic team for over 20 years. And over the course of those 20 years, he proceeded to prey upon the children that he was supposed to be taking care of. Graphic, horrible sexual abuse. In addition to the 60 years he got for child pornography, he gets, according to the judge, between 40 and 175 years for abuse of children. There were over 150 victims who came forward and spoke and read statements. It's just an incredible amount of vile evil that was perpetrated by this person. And I am glad that his reign of terror is over. I am glad that hopefully some accountability sounds like it's going to fall on not just the individual, but the entire system that allowed for this to happen. This isn't one person who did one thing in secret. This is a sports organization who for years, in numerous investigations, continued to cover up and defend and hide and shield this very, very, I want to say prolific predator, and allowed him to do what he did. The U.S. Olympic Committee, the IOC, should be ashamed. The colleges involved should be ashamed. The people involved in the cover-up should all be punished with I want some liability here. I want criminal liability for this, because this is a systemic destruction of people's lives. Fun news! China cloned a monkey. What? This is crazy. For a couple of reasons. One, cloning technology is super bizarre. We've been talking about cloning ever since man first invented DNA back in the 1960s, and ever since science fiction allowed us to do the impossible dream. But cloning in America has always been very squishy morally. People have said, well, this is like the routine killing of all kinds of half-lives and all kinds of things, and are you going to make chimeras, and what's going on, and chimeras? Chimeras? It's not Crimea. That's the place that's under war. What's the word I'm talking about where you have the half pig, half man that gets chimera? It's Greek, people. You don't need to know. The point is, the United States has had a weird relationship with this kind of scientific testing, partly because of how we view things like stem cells and embryos and what life is, and we don't have a good definition, and all kinds of the spiritual aspect. Monkeys are our closest living relative. Dolly the sheep was cloned back a ways. Americans cloned a pig. They're going to say it's going to save on meat costs. That's not true, because you still have to feed them. But all these things. But a monkey is the closest thing that we can clone to a human without actually having cloned a human. And so the speculation is that is the direction in which science is headed. Which brings us to the question, people in the audience, is it morally wrong to clone a human? Answers. We've got 3 no's and an All right. I'm going to say it's morally wrong to clone a human for one simple reason. If you clone a human, you're responsible for it. And there are no parents. It's a product of the state. And what you would end up having is the capacity for the state to just clone quasi-humans and be technically responsible for them and do whatever they wanted. And they would make, possibly all kinds of military stormtroopers and this entire crop of artificially created people doing slave work. I think that it is morally repugnant and wrong. And the legal, ethical issues that you could go around why to do it are fun, but as soon as you start cloning stormtroopers for a industrial military complex, I have to say, Dr. Kruger was wrong. All right, moving forward. A lawmaker proposes that state and local governments should be prevented from sending nuclear alerts. Excuse me? Hi. There's one thing that's keeping me safe at night, and it's knowing that if a nuclear weapon is fired at the United States, I will have a 38-minute window before the bomb hits us in which to evacuate. I have a plan. I am better than you. We've talked about this. Guys, if you want some bottled water, you can. I have a map in my bag that has a red outline. We're good. So the thought that they are not going to tell us when it's coming is terrifying. Now, to be fair, the bill says that only the federal government would have the capacity to send out that message. But, knowing the transparency and honesty of our federal government, I am surprisingly disinclined to go in that direction at this current moment. Just my 2 cents. You guys do what you do. I'm going to be on the first flight out. I'm going to be on a bus. I'm going to hitchhike my way out of the city. Zika-related birth defects are on the rise. If you invested in Zika-related birth defects, my friends, you thought you had a sleeper. You were right. 21% higher in areas affected by Zika-got mosquitoes. Surprise, which are South Florida, Puerto Rico, and South Texas. This is devastating. Partly because these birth defects, deformities of the skull, brain damage, these are things that, one, are not treatable, right? This isn't, this is a problem and we're going to have to put these kids on whatever. This is something that they're going to have to deal with forever, for their entire lives. And this has been done, or this has come as a result of our inability to curb things like, mosquito-borne illnesses. We talk about climate change. We talk about proper sanitation. We talk about not letting stagnant pools of water exist in certain cities and low-lying areas. We talk about doing things in order to curb mosquito populations that are carrying these types of disease. And no, we don't do that. The CDC just went through a shutdown during the world's worst, since 2011, flu epidemic. It is already 9,000 people have been hospitalized. There have been 30 flu deaths this year. This is nuts. We have another article I read said there are bacteria living in the permafrost in the Antarctic. And because that is melting, it's coming back to life. There was an outbreak of anthrax in Siberia, which was once covered in permafrost, and all the anthrax that had been frozen in the ice came back to life, resulting in hospitalizations and death. There was a man who got a flesh-eating bacteria. It started out the size of a red spot on his leg, and it spread, and it is eating him. He caught it from being in the Arctic. There's a lot of scary things up there in which we should be trying to take care of. And people like the EPA, which talk about protecting our environment, are under attack. And the Center for Disease Control, their funding is getting cut. And the National Institutes for Health, their funding is being reduced. So a lot of scary things are happening in the world of health. But we have some good news. I don't know if you are as excited as I am. I promised it. I said I would deliver. The 2018 Honda Accord is Car of the Year. Now, if you're a Honda driver, you can pat yourself on the back. Well done. Car and Driver goes on and on about this car every year, and for good reason. Cars are worthy of awards. They make America drivable. And if we want the best car, don't go out and get a brand new ZZ Top or a Mazda Pinata. Get something classic, like the Honda Accord, a car around $36,000 that will treat you as if you are a luxurious person, but it'll get you around to normal places. That's all the news that I have. Friends, it's going to be a great year. A lot of fun things are happening. I will keep you posted. Oh, before I go, I just want to say the government shutdown was a thing that happened. I was not pleased about this. But more than that, I was not pleased that the Democratic Party bailed on the Dreamers. They bailed. And people are confused about this. People are all like, well, they're negotiating and they have 3 more weeks. Front page of Politico this morning said Dreamer talk disappears as Democrats discuss fixing the budget. If they don't fix this, if they don't force legislation through Congress that allows for the protection of my friends and neighbors, and you are going to arbitrarily deport children or former children who have not committed any crime, this is going to come down to some grassroots activism causing a political shift that allows us to have a different type of administration, all right? And this is not an empty threat. I am determined. And people like me and the 300 million other Americans who agree with me are going to come and take this country over. We're coming for you, Congress. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back. I'm going to do 2 minutes of fire because I can. I want to come up with some love. We want to talk about one more thing. I had a lot of writing things, but we will be back. 36 Nation Radio. Sound effect.
Come on, hustle. Get your head in the game. Come on.
Are you setting the right example for your kids?
Are you even trying? The ball's down there. What are you doing? You need to get some confidence.
Come on, hustle up, get up there.
Reviewing last year, ad revenue has declined 15%.
Come on, get your head on straight.
Before your child's next game, ask yourself, how would you like it if they copied your behavior?
There are many ways which we can improve.
That's for sure. You need to get some confidence.
Positive Coaching Alliance has valuable tips and tools to help our kids perform their best while keeping sports enjoyable for everyone. Their development zone is a great resource for parents like us. Positive Coaching Alliance, creating better athletes, better people. Learn more at positivecoach.org/Fox Sports.
Thought about launching a broadcasting career? Think you have what it takes to become a broadcasting professional? Learn the skills that will make people want to tune in. Join Monica Livingston, radio personality and owner of 36 Nation, for a career development workshop on what it takes to be a radio DJ, sportscaster, and news anchor. Find out how the former DC diva and owner of 36 Nation manages her own live internet radio show. Sign up for a workshop today where Monica doesn't just share broadcasting tools, she puts you on the air.
Six Nation, hello, friends. Hello. Last night I was, today's Thursday. On Tuesday, the 23rd, I was the MC of a great event. JobsFirst.org presented the National Policy, I always mess the name up, the Policy and Messaging Task Force Summit. Thank you. I know I could get it. I could get through it, the whole thing. JobsFirst.org is a grassroots organization that wants to do one thing. Take all of your ideas, put them together, and then give them to the DNC. And it sounds like a simple job. It's really not, because there are a lot of you. But we figure you guys are the ones who actually know what the problems that we face are. So they set up a website. You can go. It's jobs-first.org. The website was up there. You can go on. There's a survey. Click the survey, and you can contribute your thoughts, your opinions, what messages work, what doesn't work, what you think about the Democrats' better jobs or better, what is it? Better jobs, better deal, Papa John's. What is the one? Anyway, Democrats have a slogan. We get to critique it, but we also get to come up with policy recommendations. What do you want the Democrats to work on? Where do you want this direction to move? And so I was able to have a great session with Karen Finney, host of, she's Hillary Clinton's former messaging and communications director. She also had a MSNBC show called Disrupt with Karen Finney, which I was a fan of. Unfortunately, it's no longer on the air. And then there was also Yasmin Taib, who is an elected Virginia DNC representative, and also a lawyer who's fighting and destroying evil, right? These are the kind of people that we want. We want good young people. Yasmin's story is fantastic. She came over as an undocumented immigrant and worked and is now a practicing attorney, and an elected representative, changing the nation. She's one of 40 under 40. Like, she's this brilliant, powerful young woman, and kicking it, right? And so great things. So the two of them are at this summit talking to grassroots organizers on how to create and craft better messages and then get them into the hands of the people who matter, which is really exciting. I thought the event was great. I thought the information that we got was wonderful. After the whole event, everybody broke into little session groups on the topics that they were interested in. I was helping to lead a voting and civil rights group, but there was groups on economics and manufacturing and climate change and civil rights, criminal justice, women's rights, LGBT issue, mass incarceration, just the gamut of issues that you wanted to talk about. And you get to work with people who also cared about these things to come up with the solutions that we want. And so we combined the things that we were talking about in the moment with the things that people had put in online, and we're going to keep doing that. We've got a deadline coming up to get our first batch of proposals out to the DNC. I think it's early March or the late February, but we're going to start doing this, and we're really excited. But I wanted to read this to you. This is my 2 minutes of fire because I love you. Thank you, my computer, for telling me I have no battery. So this is how I'm going to close out some love, all right? The promise of democracy is that we, the people, can build a society that we want. And that's a pretty good promise. I was not raised a liberal. I am a convert. I am an ex-religious right, ex-Heritage Foundation loving former missionary son. I have loose ties to Bob Jones University. When I said this, everybody booed. It was fantastic. But I was compelled by the vision that liberals have of what our society should be. It is a society where we can feed all 7 billion people. It is a society where women can walk down the street and feel safe. It is a society where children are encouraged and supported and enabled in order to reach their highest potential. It's a society where truth and justice and equality are the standard and not exceptions. The dream of those on the left are hopeful and beautiful. They see the problems of today and they work to fix them. They represent what it means to be American. So how do we get there? The key to democracy is simple. Whoever has the most powerful message wins. And when I say the powerful message, I do not mean it is the loudest or says the best things or it's supported by the best policy. I mean the message that resonates with the people wins. It's why you have messages like, yes, we can. Powerful. That's why Make America Great Again. It was powerful. We need to come together and take the energy and the effort of all of our grassroots organizations and combine and focus that into a concrete plan of what we want to fix, how we are going to fix them, and what we need to say and do on every level in order to make that message a vision that other people will and can get behind. I'm excited. I love it. There's a lot of things going on. Next week, Monica Livingston might be back. She might not. She's in New York right now. She's just doing her thing. There's something about the Big Apple that calls her. It's like, you know, when you have a trip to Tahiti, like that free flight, and you just keep going, and people say, hey, are you coming back? And you're like, yeah. And you don't. New York is Monica's Tahiti. So, whatever. But we're going to have back. We're going to have some fun. Things are going to happen. We're going to yell. Angry. I did not yell nearly as much. I promised some yelling. Neil Gorsuch, you're a fake justice. 3-6 Nation Radio, good night, I'm out.